Yo, what's going on, guys? Just finished a long day of work. I think I still have like a little bit more I want to do, but I was really in the mood to just like make a video. I wanted to talk about the struggles of being an entrepreneur because I feel like nowadays a lot of people online, they just document kind of, like all the wins, like the highlight reels, kind of like their success, but they don't really show you what went into all of that and what the raw reality of that kind of looks like. So I just wanted to give my perspective on that and things that I've gone through as well. I've been in the online business game for a while now. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people's come ups. Somebody I work very closely with had a huge come up. He's a really great guy. He deserves everything. He put in a lot of work, an incomprehensible amount of work actually. And I just wanted to talk about, again, just the struggles, right? Because nobody really shows them. And, I've personally had a lot and I'm still dealing with them today. And I just want to give you guys some sort of relief or comfort knowing that you're not really alone in that aspect. Especially if you're in the beginning stages of your journey where you're just trying to figure everything out, you haven't made any money yet. And you feel like your back's really against the wall and, you feel like quitting. And a lot of the times people will quit. But I just want to say that every successful person, including me, I'm not as successful as I want to be, but I've made a good amount of money. And I will tell you that everybody that has gotten to where you want to be has experienced this exact same feeling that you're going through right now, genuinely. And it doesn't get easier. It just gets easier to deal with, right? You're going to run into a serious amount of issues and problems and failures and setbacks along your journey, and it's going to suck. It's going to suck ass. But just the reward is so worth it, and being able to pursue your purpose every single day and just day in and day out and enjoy it honestly, because you would rather be doing nothing else, right? Whenever you're aligned with your purpose and you have a goal in mind and you're just chasing it every day, there's seriously no better feeling, honestly. Like, instead of like working some corporate job for the rest of your life and not really being satisfied and just having to drag yourself out of bed every day because you don't want to go and work, right? Because whenever you're working for something that you genuinely enjoy doing, it's a completely different feeling, right? So just know that even though it's really, really hard sometimes, that it's so worth it and so rewarding, and it's a lot of fun to me personally. I think it's a lot of fun. Some people will tell you otherwise, be like, nah, this shit sucks, bro, like, don't do it. They're just gatekeeping, don't listen to them, right? I think it's very fun. It's honestly like the most challenging thing I've ever done, but it's also the most fun and the most rewarding. But of course, lots of struggle, lots of setbacks. Every single tough moment that I've ever had has always led to some breakthrough at the other end of the tunnel, right? And I feel like God and life in the universe just kind of plays a big role in that, is that you're just getting tested, right? Like, you're going through a very hard period in your life. You're going through a very tough challenge, a very tough time with the business or whatever you're doing, and you feel like quitting, right? It feels like everything's coming crashing down, and it feels like there's no way out, right? And the only way is just to quit or just to keep going for whatever reason there is, right? And that small little ounce of hope, that small little, I'm gonna keep going, is going to take you so far, I promise you. Because it either goes one of two ways, right? You quit and you never succeed, or you just keep pushing. You don't stop no matter what, right? And that's the differentiator between people who do succeed and the people who don't, right? And you must view failure as an opportunity, not as a reason to say, hey, you're not built for this shit, bro. You might as well go clock in at that job. You know what I mean? It's teaching you something every single time, right? And especially in the hardest moments, that's when it's teaching you something really, really important. Or that's whenever you're actually growing. That's when you're leveling up, right? Because like I said, that's when the breakthrough happens, is right after that. And I just want you to know, like, if you're in the beginning stages, like, beware, there's a lot of shit heading your way, let me tell you. But, again, it's so rewarding, it's so much fun. But it doesn't come without struggle. And, I've struggled with various things like staying consistent. And I'm going to kind of lean into a little bit about what I've struggled with personally, because that's just kind of generic, like, what you're going to experience. But there have been a lot of things that I've experienced personally. Whenever I started my journey, I was really locked in, like, at the beginning. I'm not saying I'm not locked in anymore, but whenever I made the decision to invest in myself, like get a mentorship and actually start something, like after 2 years of doing nothing, I was just balls to the wall every day. Like I was in college, I had a job, and I was learning, sales, which is a skill that I do. And I was just doing it every day. I was grinding. Like anytime I wasn't working or anytime I wasn't in school, like I was just working every day, like without fail. I didn't care about anything else. I would record a video of myself every single day, getting my thoughts out there, how I was feeling mentally, improvements that I've made, and what I plan on doing for the next day and the next day, and just consistency, just stacking those wins, stacking those days of just being locked in and being in the trenches. It really does a lot, and it adds up. It's like taking a progress picture in the gym, like day one of going to the gym, and then like a year later you look like a whole different fucking person. You know what I mean? Same thing with this. But after the beginning, it started to plateau a little bit. I noticed that I was making like steady progress, but wasn't really going anywhere. Like I wasn't scaling, I wasn't doing anything. And it was very frustrating because I was seeing all these people around me winning and winning and winning. And, I was still a loser, right? I didn't have anything to show for it. I didn't have any sort of success, right? I mean, it got to the point where I made my first dollar online, which is a crazy feeling. Like just knowing that it's possible to make money online and getting that first dollar is something else, man. But it was very, I don't want to say inconsistent, but it was just slow, and it was, plateaued. Like I said, there really wasn't too much going on, and I wasn't making quite enough money to quit my job yet. And that was the first big test, right? And I started to notice that I was falling off a little bit. Like I wasn't staying as consistent. I was slacking a little bit more than usual. I was kind of just falling off. I wasn't as efficient as I used to be. And I caught myself immediately. I was like, Jackson, no, this is not how this works. You don't get to just start half-assing things. And I knew, I kind of just tried to envision things in the future of what life would kind of look like if I continued kind of just being less efficient, just slacking just a little bit. And I would never have hit my goals, ever. So that was the first big test, was just realizing, hey, you need to stick to your habits. You need to just continue doing what you're doing every single day. And you're eventually going to see that result. Because think about it, if you do an unreasonable amount of work, I've said this before, if you do an unreasonable amount of work, there shouldn't be a reason why you wouldn't succeed. And that's the mentality that I kind of got after that happened. That was like the first big test, I guess you'd call it. And I broke through. I did. I started signing more clients. I started making more money with sales. I started closing more deals. I got on my first role, and I started making more money, and life was looking good. I felt like I was actually moving in the right direction. And then of course, another challenge, another setback, right? As soon as like you feel like you're on top of the world, that's when the knife appears to your back, right? That's exactly what happened. I started getting really sick. I don't know what I had. It was some weird stomach virus. I was sick for like 3 weeks straight. It was really bad. I kept working though. Like I was still working. It's just, I wasn't in that rhythm. I wasn't in that mode. I wasn't executing how I knew I could. And, to an extent, it's not really my fault. It's like out of my control. So I wasn't stressing over it. I just knew like, hey, I'm going to get over this sickness, right? And when I did, it was good, but just my daily habits, my routine stayed the same, even though I wasn't sick, right? So again, slipping into bad habits, doing all the old shit that I used to do that would cause me to not want to start or not want to be locked in or, be on my journey, right? So all the things that used to hold me back came back into my life because I was sick. And it was hard. It was like kind of starting over a little bit. Yeah, I had a little bit of money to my name. I learned a little bit, but it was like having to restart the boss battle after getting it down to like 2 HP or something like that, So like that was really bad. And then on top of that, I started running ads for my business, and my entire Facebook ad account got restricted and banned. And that was linked to my Instagram account. I had probably over like I think I had like over 100 posts on it at the time. It's not that much, but maybe like 200 posts. I had to delete the entire Instagram account and start from scratch. And that was honestly like the most demoralizing thing ever, was just having to delete my Instagram, having to make a new one, having to start from scratch, 0 followers, after all this hard work that I put in. And I was crashing out. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was tough, man, like seriously. And, I wanted to quit really badly, but I knew if I quit, then I wouldn't achieve that life that I wanted. And I have to go back and tell all these people, yeah, I didn't make it. I failed. and then they'd all be right. I wouldn't be able to prove them wrong. So like, I had that little spark. I just knew. And this is why having a why, like a very powerful why, is so important, because it's going to keep you going every single day, right? And, I just remember what I was doing all this for. It was for my family and my little brother and everything like that. And I knew I had to keep pushing. So I didn't cave in. I didn't give up. And again, got that Instagram account back up, started running ads, and it just turned around and I started making more and more and more money. And this is around the time that I got to quit my job, actually, because I knew that I was just making more money than I was monthly at that job. So I was like, what the hell's the point, So I told my manager, I put in my 2 weeks, and he's like, why are you putting in your 2 weeks? It's like, oh, I'm making money online now. And he's like, oh, how much are you making? And I was like, yeah, I'm making about like $5K a month now. And he's like, because that's how much he was making. It was like some GM or AM or whatever kind of manager he was at the sandwich shop. Dude was bewildered, seriously. And I could just see that look in his eyes. I mean, I wasn't trying to flex on him. He asked a genuine question. I was like, I'm going to give him a genuine answer, right? And like, I could just see the look in his eyes. And I don't know. It was a weird feeling. And he never treated me the same after that. For those 2 weeks, I got like tossed around like a rag doll for those 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, how much worse can it get? I'm only here for like 2 more weeks. So, but yeah, life started like really turning up. And, of course, I started scaling, making more money. And then it got to the point where I was considering dropping out of college, right? And that was a really, really hard part of my life. Was, it was kind of like I was on the fence. Like, you have college over here, all your old friends, fraternity, anything like that. The social life. And then you have just like the lonely journey of just, chasing the bag and getting better every day. And, I was just in the middle, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I ultimately knew, like, hey, I need to keep upgrading. I need to keep, going. Even though it's not about the destination, like, I was obsessed with improving every day. But I knew that I needed to make a decision, and I needed to make the business work. I needed to sign more clients. I needed to close more deals for the offer that I was on if I wanted to make this work, right? Because I needed money to go move out and show my parents, hey, like, there's no reason that I should be staying at college. And it was really hard because there was a very specific night where, I just broke down completely. My parents were yelling at me. They were not supporting me whatsoever. It was like a slap in the face when I told them what I was doing. And I told them I was doing it for them, and they just said it was bullshit, So whenever your own parents don't believe in you, like, that's a different kind of like feeling, But I wanted to prove them wrong so badly, and it motivated me even more to just make it work. And, one of two things will happen when you have that bottom of the barrel moment where you're just done. Like, no, like, I'm talking like seriously, like, that was one of the hardest moments of my life. And you either go one of two ways, right? You're either like, I'm done, I quit, I can't handle it, right? Or you just get that spark, you just get that passion to just keep pushing and keep going and prove them wrong, right? Because you want to win so badly, and you're tired of getting knocked down, and you are not going to settle for less, right? That's exactly what I did. I told myself, I'm not quitting. I've gotten so far, I'm not quitting now. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and I put in more work, and I was working as hard as I possibly could, working harder than ever. And I broke through once again and achieved all my goals. I broke 20K a month. I'd signed more clients than ever. My closing rate was the highest it had ever been. And I knew that, just putting my faith in God and trusting myself and trusting the process and ultimately knowing that I would get there eventually is, really what did it for me. So yeah, those are just like some setbacks that I went through. And I just wanted to show that to you guys because that's probably what a lot of you guys are going through. I don't know. It could be way worse, could be a little bit easier. It's besides the point, right? My goal with this is just to show you, or I guess what to expect when you start this journey. Now that being said though, if you haven't started and you're wanting to get into something, I do high ticket sales. Essentially, I just take calls for business owners. Super simple. I get commissions for it. I actually manage now. I don't close anymore. But yeah, as a closer, you can make around like $10,000 a month. Setter, you can make 3 to 7K a month. So if you're wanting to learn how to actually get into this business model itself, if you're still like trying to decide or research, just DM me on Instagram, or just there's a free Discord that I have in the description below. Like 400 people in there, just all in sales. So if you're wanting to connect with like-minded people, would highly recommend you join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I hope you guys got some sort of value out of it or resonated with it. I hope it helped. That's always my goal, is if you're gonna, give me your time, I hope to just give you some sort of value out of it. So yeah, I'm gonna upload as many times as I can. I love making these videos, so if you want to keep seeing them, just like and subscribe, helps the algorithm out. You can always unsubscribe if you want to, no big deal. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.